as a visual cue for the presenter and the participants. It also saves time to select that specific question from the polling drop-down list when launching the poll. Another good practice is to provide immediate feedback after the poll, especially if there were participants who answered the questions incorrectly. Once they saw they did a wrong answer, right away it will catch their attention. That becomes a great way to enforce their learning. So now the third way, it's branching. So really branching, if you are familiar with self-paced e-learning development, this is to allow participants to make a decision for branching scenarios and then keep things interesting and then relevant. So sometimes if there are various scenarios for a specific teaching point, instead of going through all of the scenarios, presenters can provide options and only go through the scenarios that receive the highest votes to save time for virtual events. So here are two of my work examples. As you see from the first example, there are 9 application scenarios for one of our floor products. The presenter will only discuss 2 scenarios that are most relevant to the participants based on the poll result. In the second example, it takes the same approach, the company's installation method versus the other 2 popular installation method on the market. So we will only go through method 1 versus method 2, or method 1 versus method 3 in this case. So for the scenarios or some training content that didn't cover during the session, they can be converted to additional material or included in the handout. In that way, participants can have the chance to read them or learn about other scenarios after the session. Lastly, if you don't have, or if you didn't design a post-training survey and you simply want to know participants' overall expression or satisfaction with your session, using polling to gather feedback, it's a great approach. It doesn't take much effort to develop, and it's also simple enough for participants to respond. When comparing to reaction features like, like it or not, yes or no, it provides a bit more insights. So because normally it's built on like a 5 liked scale question style. So lastly, I will talk about some additional best practices based on my experience. Number 1, start with a set of goal in mind. Poll question really should be part of the content design, and I strongly recommend to prepare them in advance because you can prepare them in advance or add it on the spot during the session. So each poll question should have its purpose. When drafting the poll question, you should ask yourself, why would I gather this information? And what do I do with the information collected? Will the participants benefit from this question, or will this question enhance their learning experience? So these are all the things you need to plan in advance. Number 2, keep your poll question simple. This is not about a poll question. We all know that if you design, quiz question or in general survey questions, it's a general principle. It should be written in a simple and then concise way, so your audience has no difficulty in understanding it or needs to reread it. In a situation that you want to ask more than one question, most webinar platforms, they provide you the option to display 2 options at one time, which I do not recommend because I noticed that it could become, kind of distract the participants. So I would suggest to you to displaying 1 question at a time, and then, launch the poll, share the result, provide feedback, then go for the next one. So the third tip is to use the right number of poll questions. Yeah, poll questions is a good feature, but if you use too many during a session, it also, it may become distraction to participants. So based on my experience, if you have, let's say, 1 hour session, you can add 3 or 4 questions. That seems to be a good number. And then you can place them 10 to 15 minutes apart from each other. Number 4, provide instructions upfront. So this tip is not only for polling. I think it's always good to provide instructions on any interactions you plan to use during a virtual event. For example, how to access the chat, raise the hand, or the Q and then the QA window, so participants, they can understand what they would do to interact with the presenter during that session. Oops. Then the last one, sorry, which is to distribute adequate time for each poll question. When you launch the poll, very easy, you should allow some time to wait for responses, but it may vary from the audience group. If you have a group of 200 participants, the waiting time may be different from a group of 20. So what I notice, use a combination of waiting time and the percentage. So normally, if you see 80% of the participants submitted the response, then you can, consider close the poll, especially if it's already run like over a minute. And to avoid silence, you can also, read the questions and then elaborate some of the options to help participants better understand the question, how they should, make their best options. So that's the last tip. And that is all. So it's really, I will stop sharing, I guess, Catherine. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me, because this is really like a, high level overview of how to use poll questions.
Okay, so I'm looking at the chat. You do have a few minutes if people would like to ask any questions.
Sure.
Let's see what comes through. Okay, let me just check again.
It's all good?
It's all good. It's all good. So that was fantastic. Thank you very much, Eva. And
my pleasure.
Yes. And I understand that you're going to stay for the second presentation.
Yeah.
So that's great. The second presentation is titled Engaging Students by Adapting the Moodle Database Activity. And presenting today, we have Nadine Chamara from Knowledge One and Yemna Etares from Knowledge One as well. So I'll hand the mic to both of you. Go ahead.
Okay, welcome to our presentation on engaging students by adapting the Moodle database activity. I'm Nadine and work as a learning experience designer, and Yemna as a learning technology specialist at Knowledge One. Knowledge One is a company owned by Concordia University. We develop and host all eConcordia online courses. You can use the QR code to learn more about Knowledge One eConcordia. Due to COVID-19, when Concordia University turned to using the Moodle Learning Management System as its main mode for emergency remote teaching, we were directly supporting dozens of instructors with their courses to transition them to remote delivery. In this presentation, we are going to show you how we enhance students' engagement by adapting the database activity through providing interesting presets and templates to the instructors. We work closely with them to meet their needs and to overcome some technical drawbacks of the database activity. And we end this presentation by sharing real cases used in multiple courses in the eConcordia Express project. Instructor feedback points to maintaining student engagement as one of the most significant challenges to online education during the pandemic. Student engagement can be defined as the energy and effort that students employ within their learning community, observable via any number of behavioral, cognitive, or affective indicators across a continuum. These three forms of engagement are highest when text-based tools, knowledge organization and sharing tools, and multimodal production tools are used. We will explain how the database activity allows for all of these. So it allows instructors and students to create a collection of entries using predefined fields like text, picture, and radio buttons. Entries can be approved by the instructor with additional options such as selecting the number of entries required before viewing other entries. Comments on entries allow for interaction between students and instructor, and entries can be graded. So the database activity has all the features for student engagement. It can be used as a text-based tool, a knowledge organization and sharing tool, and mainly as a multimodal production tool. It also allows peer feedback and interaction with the instructor and students. However, the database activity does not always meet instructors' needs. And in particular, there were special requirements for the fine arts students when submitting their work and commenting on each other's entries. So these included being able to upload multiple images, upload videos or a video and images, expand images for larger viewing, and incorporate a black background when viewing larger images. Also, you can see the interface and layout isn't great because entries appear as a list, one under another, using the table format. Also, the instructors we are working with have varying levels of knowledge of the Moodle platform and technology. So the solution we came up with involved creating a range of templates for instructors to choose from that meet their indicated criteria or needs. These included adding specific fields like title, description, author, and image dimensions within templates containing either a single image and fields, multiple images, video field, video and multiple images, and anonymous user entry. The templates could simply be imported into their Moodle course without having to alter any of the admin settings. As you can see in the screenshots, our template also includes improvements in the visual layout, which allows for an enhanced user experience. On the left, in the list view, all the entries are displayed as tiles, side by side. On the right, in the single view, the content is displayed according to the template. The process for developing the solution involved an iterative process between us and the instructors we were supporting, including finding out about the instructor's specific needs, discussing possible solutions with our internal team, creating a prototype, which was devised from the one implemented in our eConcordia courses for the music therapy master's program, testing the prototype and verifying that everything was functioning correctly, presenting it to the instructors with a walkthrough of the features and how to import the template preset, gathering feedback and suggestions from them, and then making final modifications based on feedback like adding multiple pictures and making submissions anonymous. The steps to follow in order to use one of our templates involves to, one, refer to the step-by-step instructions on how to add the data.
Thanks, Nadine. So next, we will show you some examples of how the database activity was used in some of the courses to engage students in various learning activities. Actually, the database can be used in different ways. It can serve as a repository for the instructor to share course resources or examples of student work as reference. It can be used by students to upload and share their work with the class and comment on their peers' entries. And also students can review and rate their peers' work or rate themselves as self-evaluation. This is an example of the database activity used by our team as a repository to share resources with the instructor we are supporting. They are able to search for videos and documentation on the various features of Moodle. In this example, the instructor created an online exhibition of A and A+ posters for an animation course. Students were given bonus points for reading for posters and also answering questions about them, which helped them acquire both content and an understanding of what is possible. Thus, the behavior and cognitive as well the affective dimension are enhanced. In this introduction to gallery learning and education course, the instructor asked students to share their gallery education final project with the class. The anonymous template was used and students entered their ID numbers so the instructor could identify them. Relating to the behavioral indicator, this increased student willingness to participate and share their work with their peers. In this example, the instructor uses the database as a graded self-evaluation activity at the end of the semester, asking students to share a photo and give feedback about their participation in the course. Students rated themselves and the prof could keep or change the grade and add comments about the student's self-evaluation. Using the entry approval feature, these entries were kept hidden from the class and only visible to the instructor. Here, the affective and behavioral dimension are involved. In conclusion, the feedback we have received from instructors have been very positive as they appreciate the change made to the default database activity. There are some future improvements to the database plugin our team will work on, including improvement in on fields to move and organize them, select multiple fields and delete them together, improvement for the commands textbooks, yes, to add the auto editor, which has various features in its toolbar and a better interface. Improvement for grading by including the rubric option. At the end, we need to note that technology can enhance learning, but innovative technology depends on sound pedagogical practices. Here you find the main reference we used. We would like to share with you two of our templates or presets and documentation we prepared for the conference. This includes the zip files for the user tours, the templates, and the step-by-step instruction document. The two templates are for multiple pictures as well as the multiple pictures and video ones, including the Zoom features. You can access and download the content by visiting our website or scanning the QR code with your smartphone. At the end, thank you for attending our presentation. We would also like to thank the instructor who have shared these examples with us, as well as our team who helped develop the templates. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any question.
Thank you, Yemna, and thank you, Nadine. Excellent. Are there, you have a minute left if you want to take any questions right now?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see if there's any activity in the chat, because we might be good. Let's just check.
So, does anyone have any question?
Looks like we're good.
Okay, so we have a question for you. So the first question, have you ever used the Moodle database activity in your course? If so, what was your experience using it and what is the student feedback? The second question, what additional features do you think will be useful to improve the database activity?
Okay, and you'd like everyone to answer in the chat?
Nobody was using the database activity in Moodle?
Oh, wait a minute. There's a couple of messages coming in now. So one is not yet. One says, I've only ever designed quiz in Moodle, but nothing else.
Okay, so it's a good opportunity to start testing the database activity and trying the templates we prepared mainly for the conference.
Excellent. So I think we're good then. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for our presenters, Yemna and Nadine and Eva, for this hour. And I encourage you to go back to the conference schedule to look at the next session you want to attend over the next couple of days. I know today there's also a networking session happening at the bottom of the hour in 15 minutes. So enjoy the rest of the conference, and thank you to everybody for your participation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.